Story 1. Tinnitus removal surgery would be wonderful. I would love to experience complete silence one day. Story 2. I want a zipper in my back so my massage therapist can take out my tight muscles, roll over them with a rolling pin, give them a good shake, then put them back in as good as new. Story 3. Just some sort of general eyesight replacement surgery. I am losing my sight and it is not ideal. Story 4. A facial bone replacement was 3D printed using pictures of the patient's appearance prior to blunt force trauma from a motorcycle accident. Story 5. Please treat my pancreas so I do not have to inject insulin all day or worry about my blood sugar levels. Story 6. Inner ear transplant so I can stop getting terrible motion sickness even on a ferry and do not get vestibular migraines anymore. Story 7. Surgery that provides permanent relief from chronic pain. Living in pain all the time is difficult. Story 8. My mother has been profoundly deaf since birth. She is completely missing some vital connections between her ears and her brain that prevent her from hearing, and no surgery exists that can repair those connections. I would like my mother to be able to hear something in her lifetime. I want a surgery to turn my penis into a soft drink dispenser. I could get unlimited Dr. Pepper this way, and it would be a cool party trick. Story 9. A surgery to remove every negative or traumatic memory you have. Story 10. I want 2 more kidneys. Just line them up in series. I don't think my blood is filtered well enough by just the 2. Why can't I find donors and get 2 more? Story 11. Whatever surgery would restore people's ability to walk. Story 12. Spine transplant or an artificial spine. I am in my 40s and my back hurts. Story 13. Removing the part of the brain that causes the feeling of nausea. People with a fear of vomiting unite. Story 14. A minor surgery temporarily removes your eyeballs and scratches the back of them before putting them back. Story 15. I would like a surgery that can remove my spine separately from all my other bones. Then the doctor cracks it like a whip and puts it back. I feel like that would solve about 3/4 of all my body aches. Story 16. Thinking of cyberpunk here. The full cyber implant kit. Eyes with zoom function that are much better than human ones and are connected to an operating system in the brain to translate written language in real time. The same applies to ears with spoken language. Better limbs, better organs with faster or slower metabolism, stronger bones, intensifiers for muscle growth, and the avoidance of cell degradation. I know none of this is even remotely realistic, but a man has to dream. Story 17. Maybe I am misinformed, but the repair of tissue for endometriosis is difficult. I am tired of seeing the person I love the most so strongly affected by this. Story 18. I wish there was a surgery to help my son with his low-functioning autism. He will never be able to live on his own. Story 19. I've had fantasies over the past few years of a year 3000 style selective mesh filter. I understand it's complete science fiction, but I really love the concept. The idea is that you lie on a table, and some laser mesh device starts at the table on the same plane and moves through your body. Every time it touches something unwanted, it collects it while keeping it intact and somehow moves it out of your body without touching your tissues directly. As it comes out, you end up with a floating mesh sieve covered in everything from dust in your eye fluid, earwax, and particles from the bottom of your lungs, to waste and fat buildup around your heart valves. It might even collect carbon monoxide from your red blood cells or some fat from your stomach. There are challenges regarding cancer cells and potentially leaving holes inside your body. For example, it might remove stomach cancer cells but leave stomach acid, creating a hole that floats around you, but I still like the idea. Story 20. Whatever is needed to get rid of tinnitus. It is minor on the grand scale of things, but being able to enjoy silence would be heaven. Story 21. Idiototomy. Removes the part of the brain that causes unintelligent behavior. Story 22. Sinus and nasal polyp removal surgery. I want all polyps removed permanently. I do not care about the consequences. Story 23. Surgery or an injection that will stop all my joints from being unstable and wanting to dislocate all the time. Story 24. Cartilage replacement therapy. Can we learn to grow site-specific cartilage as good as or better than the original? Story 25, Metal Legs. It is a risky operation, but I think it is worth it. Robot ears so everyone can appreciate technology. Story 26. The ability to transfer an embryo from one body to another allows individuals to have more reproductive options. Story 27. Something that heals all cluster headache patients. Story 28. I wish we had nanobots in our bodies that monitor our health and report to our doctors when we get our annual physical examination. I have multiple sclerosis and there is no cure. Perhaps a nanobot could have detected it and prevented the damage it has done to my body. Please take multiple sclerosis seriously. Story 29. A ball lift. I am 39 and these things are hanging. I do not like teabagging the toilet. Story 30. No one is suggesting preventative appendix removal. The appendix is a small, mostly useless organ that almost killed me. Story 31. From top row to bottom row. Story 32. Regrowing organs with your own cells. I want my gallbladder back. My health declined due to not having it and complications from the surgery. Story 33. I wish there was a surgical procedure to remove addiction from my brain. Story 34. Extract teeth and reposition them perfectly straight, avoiding years of treatment with braces or Invisalign. Story 35. Tinnitus removal surgery. I do not know what they would remove or fix, but I would love to have that gone. Every waking moment, I hear screeching every second of the day. Story 36. An anti-insufferable surgery where the damaged parts of the brain that cause social rejection are removed and replaced with healthy brain tissue. Story 37. Psychosurgery is the ability to fix or remove old traumas. It may be an outpatient procedure to improve negative behavior in general. Story 38. My dad is a short king with massive gorilla hands. I have about 80 pounds on him and am about 6 inches taller, but my hands are nice and delicate. Not small, but not big. I wish there was a surgery to enlarge my hands to have those gorilla-like hands. They are just huge for his size. Story 39. Laser eye surgery that allows you to see more clearly. Story 40. Surgery to stop absorbing 80% of food calories while still obtaining all macronutrients and micronutrients. Story 41. Emotional repair surgery. Mental health is the only ailment that has no progress beyond medication and therapy. Story 42. Surgery where you can remove body parts, rinse them, and then put them back. Can you imagine being able to wash your lungs after a cold? Put your brain in an ice bath? Dreamy. Story 43. Remove clusters of cancers that have spread with precision, making stage 4 cancers more survivable. Story 44. Surgery to make inoperable cancers operable. You always hear, it's inoperable. Here's your life expectancy now. How about no? This must change. Some sort of laser beam should probably be involved because of reasons. Let's advance science together. Story 45. Breast transplants. Transgender men have their chest tissue removed and donated to transgender women. Story 46. Something to eliminate my migraines would be appreciated. Story 47. Replace the teeth or their sockets with metal or titanium so they can be replaced. Story 48. Whatever it takes to make the pain from herpes zoster go away. Story 49. I would like a foot surgery that allows me to walk daily for 16 hours without pain. Story 50. Eliminating depression with brain surgery. Making yourself taller with surgery. Eczema surgery. Autism surgery. I would get it removed. I hate myself. Skin surgery to get rid of all my pesky body hair, except on my head, darker spots, discharge, scars, and issues underneath the skin like pimples, acne, lumps, sebum, cysts, and more. Hair surgery. I hate my hair. It is ugly, short, and a mess. I am black. It does not even fall into common black hair types like dreads, curls, straight, or afro. It is just a fuzzy mess, and I feel like I do not belong because of my hair. A color surgery. I would love to have a galaxy in my starry eyes. Story 51. Spine replacement. I have a multi-level fusion, which means I have zero flexibility in 80% of my spine. It affects everything. Story 52. Eye replacement surgery, literally take the eye you have and replace it. Maybe I would finally be able to see out of my right eye again. Story 53. Teeth aligning surgery eliminates the need for long braces procedures. Story 54. Please, can I have a third arm to help with my skyboxing? Story 55. Personality transplant. Except that I do not think most people who could use one would consent to the procedure. Story 56. A procedure to regrow myelin would solve many medical conditions related to degenerative nerve issues. Story 57. Partial memory removal or erasure. Eliminate the unwanted information. Story 58. A brain transplant would be cool if I did not have to deal with daily migraines. Story 59. A good old organ and bone rinse. I want them to fill me up with some zesty cleaner and shake me around like a salt shaker while my bones get all clean and minty. I feel like that would feel so good. Story 60. I've grown quite weary. So, I would like a surgery where the scientists manage to make me smarter. Story 61. Gene editing, for example, to remove mutations like neurofibromatosis. Story 62. For me, it would be stretch mark removal or targeted collagen repair. I have never been overweight or pregnant, but in elementary school, I had a growth spurt that left my bottom half covered in stretch marks. My bum, my hips, my inner and outer thighs, my calves, even my knees. I hate it. Story 63. Vocal cord surgery to improve your singing range and sound quality. Story 64. Gender-affirming bottom surgery that shapes a vagina without removing the penis and testicles. Non-binary individual mentioned. Story 65. Gender reassignment surgery is fully functional, requires no drugs after treatment, and includes nerve and hormonal adaptations. Story 66. Personality surgery. Just a few quick adjustments here and there, and no more addiction. Story 67. I could use surgery to repair nerve damage. A stingray took from me the feeling in my right ankle, and I roll my ankle often as a result. It would be nice to be able to run again or even walk with confidence. Story 68. Replacement nervous system or brain surgery. Whatever it would be, that would mean I did not have a migraine every day. Story 69. A surgery to remove stupidity, greed, selfishness, and egoism. Story 70. Insulin cell repair in the pancreas for type 1 diabetes patients. Story 71. Suprachiasmatic nucleus surgery to repair circadian rhythms. The suprachiasmatic nucleus is the part of the hypothalamus that regulates sleep cycles. Many years ago, studies in rodents found that performing surgery on it could cure circadian rhythm disorders such as non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder. However, there has been little progress because the disorder is considered very rare in people who are not blind. I am convinced that it is actually much more common than believed and is frequently misdiagnosed as other circadian rhythm disorders like delayed sleep phase syndrome, because that is how non-24 presents when individuals try to conform to a 24-hour schedule. Story 72. Arthritis. The doctor can identify it on the computed tomography scan or magnetic resonance imaging, but they cannot reach in and remove it. Let us find a solution for that. Story 73. Stomach replacement so I can finally be free of lifelong irritable bowel syndrome and food allergies. Story 74. Brain surgery to eliminate anxiety and addiction permanently. Story 75. A surgery to remove a growing fetus, embryo, or zygote from a woman and place it into an artificial womb. This procedure would serve as an alternative to abortion and could make the topic of abortion politically irrelevant. Both sides of the issue would achieve their goals. Story 76. Skeleton replacement. This one is falling apart, and doing it one piece at a time is not enjoyable for anyone. Story 77. Rewire the brain so I am addicted to healthy things instead of unhealthy things. Story 78. Transplanting brains into new bodies allows continuation of life after the current body fails. Story 79. Height surgery involves making short people taller or making tall people, like myself, shorter. I would gladly donate 10 centimeters of my height, or even more, to someone else. Story 80. I want to take out my muscles, stretch them, and then put them back. Story 81. I would pay a lot of money to not have to use my continuous positive airway pressure machine every night. Story 82. Depression, bipolar disorder, anxiety. I don't know. I just want to stop being afraid of the world and wanting to jump off rooftops. Story 83. Anything to make me taller, but not just making my legs longer and weaker. I wanted my whole body to grow proportionally. Story 84. I would love the ability to remove fat from my belly and thighs as needed. On a more serious note, I think a surgery where you could download books directly into your brain so you know and remember every bit of it would be amazing. Story 85. Cranial rectal extraction so people can get their heads pulled out of their backsides. Story 86. To forget someone who is still alive, to forget all the happy and fun times and the things we plan to do together. Story 87. Disconnect my head from this body and connect it to a different body or even a mechanical body. I was born with a disability and have now developed a secondary condition of chronic pain. However, I want my head to remain as it is because I do not want to stop being myself despite the mental challenges. Think about it, go to sleep unable to care for yourself and wake up with a robot-like body. Not only could you walk upstairs, but you would also have the strength of 20 men. If we use the Terminator for inspiration, we could look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Story 88. An implant to toggle my sense of hearing so I could sleep peacefully next to my snoring spouse. Story 89. The brain surgery that heals time blindness and the gastrointestinal surgery that resolves brain-gut issues. Story 90. Hearing and eye surgeries that can restore hearing to the deaf and vision to the blind. Story 91. Whatever surgery is required to help certain people I know get their heads out of their backsides. Story 92. I will choose one method to identify all epilepsy cases in any patient. Seriously, why is it sometimes not possible to determine this after multiple tests? Story 93. Surgery to stop sneezing fits that last all day. Rebuild the nose with less sensitive parts. Story 94. Something to stop menstruation without a full hysterectomy. Also, whatever surgery you would need to become a cat boy. Story 95. Does not exist at all? Or is it not a thing because it is considered immoral or against medical ethics? The body modification community would welcome board-certified doctors who are able and willing to perform the procedures they want. Story 96. I want robot eyes. Telescopic, microscopic, X-ray, ultrasound, and others. Story 97. The ability to regenerate any tissue in the body. Story 98. Genital transplant would be a significant benefit for transgender people. Story 99. Remove a fertilized egg from a woman who does not want a child and implant it in a woman who wants a child but is infertile. Story 100. Getting extra arms attached in addition to the ones I already have, I would get much more done, and my fighting-type Pokemon cosplay would be unmatched. Story 101. General body reconstruction. I want to be a robot. IG-88 or something similar. Story 102. Three-dimensional printed healthy cloned parts. Never need for organ donation. Story 103. Temporary third arm installation. Perhaps one that can clip on like a hair extension so you can manage 2 toddlers while shopping, then have 2 arms when you get home. Story 104. Not a surgery, but a screening that my doctor says does not exist. Pancreatic cancer screening. Story 105. Preemptive anterior cruciate ligament and Achilles tendon strengthening. Strengthen commonly injured connective tissues with Kevlar or carbon fiber for high-performance athletes. Story 106. Nervous system replacement or transplant. I need one. Story 107. Detach the top half of my head so I can scratch the inside of my ear canals when they itch. Story 108. Installation of a battery pack that provided me with the energy I had in my early 20s. Story 109. Ankle cartilage repair and regrowth. There are advancements in knees and hips, but apparently ankles pose a larger problem. Story 110. Maybe it does, but I would like to move my eyes a couple of millimeters farther apart. Also, pain removal. If my body has an issue, it can send a tingly sensation. Also, opioid withdrawal removal because Suboxone does not count. You still go through withdrawal for that. Story 111. Liposuction is not as it is depicted in cartoons. A person cannot simply show up at a doctor's office and have 200 pounds removed. Story 112. If surgery could eliminate mental illness, I would be one of the first to apply. Story 113. A brain repair to remove depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and traumatic memories. That is all I need. Story 114. Surgically remove the part of the brain that makes people say, "Do your own research, sheeple." Story 115. To make you shorter but still in proportion. I'm a 5 feet 10 inches tall woman, but I would love to be a couple of inches shorter. Story 116. I would love to be able to detach my arms when I am trying to get comfortable and go to sleep. I cannot quite work out how I would get them back on again. Story 117. A specialized type of neurosurgery that could cure autism. Story 118. One that successfully removed pancreatic cancer for good. My grandmother and Alex Trebek would still be here if it existed. Story 119. Non-invasive mommy makeover. Childbirth damaged my body, and the current options to repair the damage are undesirable. Story 120. It might be very specific, but I wish there was a way to regenerate all of the layers of skin from the outer layer through the subcutaneous tissue. Story 121. Nanobot surgery for procedures such as coronary artery cleaning or targeted cancer treatment. Story 122. A less invasive, more effective, less expensive, widely trained, and easily accessible surgery for endometriosis. Story 123. If I could give my breasts to a transgender girl, I would be ecstatic. Story 124. Surgery to transform me, an adult man, into a 14-year-old cute anime girl. Story 125. A small opening in your sinuses can be opened to relieve pressure and remove any mucus. Story 126. If someone could grow a trigeminal nerve in a laboratory and then perform surgery to replace the one in my face that is missing part of the myelin sheath, that is what I want. Story 127. I would like a microchip that controls my metabolism. It allows me to decide how much fat to remove and from where, like from an application. Then my body would slowly adjust to that shape over time. The rate would be slow enough so that it is not a shock to the system. Collagen production would increase so that I do not get loose skin. Story 128. Limb regrowth through the application of stem cells and proprietary chemical compounds. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.